Welcome to the Chris Hanna Show, where business, as usual, gets a swift kick in the ass. If you're tired of the same old advice and ready to disrupt the status quo, you're in the right place. I'm cutting through the noise with bold strategies, unfiltered truths, and a no-nonsense approach to entrepreneurship, video marketing, and content creation. Buckle up, because it's time to level up, stand out, and dominate your market. This isn't just another podcast, it's a wake-up call for entrepreneurs and would-be aspiring solopreneurs who are all in. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Chris Hanna Show. Today I'm going to be talking about what I call fuck your plan B, how burn the boats mentality forces growth. You see, when you do not have a way out, when you are forced to honestly put your back against the wall, sometimes, actually most times, you'll perform better. And that's what I want to talk about here today, because let's cut the crap at the end of the day. You know, if you're holding on to a backup plan, you're not fully committed. Growth, success, and transformation doesn't come from half measures or safety nets. They come from burning the boats and forcing yourself to just honestly figure out how to make it work. The burn the boats mentality may be brutal for some, but it's effective. When you eliminate any option of retreat, you have no choice but to move forward, to succeed, to find a way. And this is not one of those episodes where it's going to be all like motivational fluff in any way. It's more like a strategy that is been ingrained in a lot of different places, actually, whether it's business or in the real world. You know, when your back's against the wall, when you've got nowhere to go but forward, that is where you have to go to create the lasting change that you're ultimately trying to do. So if you're ready to really ditch the safety net and to go all in any aspect of your life, personally, professionally, well, stay tuned. Let's dive deeper into it here. So the phrase burn the boats originates really as a historical military tactic. When invading a new territory, some commanders would order their troops to destroy their own boats. And the reason why is that it made sure that they had no way that they could retreat. They had to fight, survive, and ultimately win, because failure often meant death. And so in your entrepreneurial journey, it's a literal battlefield. The principle still applies. Burning the boats means that you're cutting off any escape routes. You're forced to fully commit to your goals. Where I see this most evident is actually when people are deciding whether they do want to create a business or not, if they're ready to go all in. Because if you are half doing it, and by half doing it, I mean you are maybe doing a side hustle, you're maybe doing it part-time, you've got the safety net of a full-time job, you're not going to be as motivated to really give it your all. But when you say goodbye to that additional source of income, that stability, there is your burn the boats moment, because now you are ultimately forced to make it work. If you don't make it work, you can't pay your rent, your mortgage, you get groceries, live and survive. The decision to go on your own is scary, but it ultimately helps you. So, if you have then a plan B, that would, I'd say, kind of kill your potential. And because those backup plans, what they do is they make you comfortable. And honestly, comfort is the enemy of progress. Like when you have something to fall back on, you're less likely to take the risk. You're less likely to actually take real action and honestly have real breakthroughs. So plan B, I think, actually holds you back because one, it divides your focus. Instead of you putting 100% into plan A, you're hedging your bets. It also gives you an easy out. When things get tough, and trust me, they will, plan B becomes a tempting escape. It also keeps you in your comfort zone, because growth does require a level of discomfort, and plan B keeps you tethered to safety. And so I think if you do want to achieve extraordinary results, you need what I would call extraordinary commitment. That means there is no plan B. Now, there's also the psychological power of no retreat, because, it's not just about, obviously burning the boats and eliminating options. It's about shifting your mindset. When there's no way to go backwards, your brain goes into survival mode. Suddenly you become more resourceful, more resilient, more creative. That mindset will ultimately shift and fuel your growth. You'll find solutions faster with no safety net because you're forced to think on your feet and to innovate. You'll take bigger risks. You know that there's no fallback option. It's going to push you to go all in. And you ultimately will build what I call unshakable confidence. And that means like every win reinforces your ability to succeed and without a plan B. Because when you're all in, there's no room to just half heartedly put yourself forward. So, how do you burn the boats in your business? Because, people might think burning the boats means you're burning it to the ground. And that's not what I'm talking about here. It's not about creating recklessness, it's not about creating chaos, it's about being strategic. So, first, you can look at how you want to quit your job. Because if you're serious about your business, you got to stop treating it as a side hustle. That's an example. Number two, I'd say would invest in your resources. Put your time, your energy, your money, and your vision into whatever that venture is without holding back. Set non-negotiable goals as well. Commit to milestones that leave no room for excuses. And then obviously we're cutting that safety net, so maybe look at your business and say, hey, I'm going to get rid of some low paying clients or the side gigs that are there just in case, so you can focus on really what's core and what matters. Because burning the boat is about creating an environment where success is your only option. If you think about it in today's world, though, like many of some of the most successful people have embraced the burn the boats mentality. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, he invested nearly all of his PayPal earnings into Tesla and SpaceX, and he risked bankruptcy to ultimately pursue his vision. Sarah Blakely, she's the founder of Spanx, and she started her business with no investors, no backup plan, relying solely on her savings and her grit. Another one would be Tony Robbins. He often tells a story how he went broke investing in his first business seminar, forcing him to make it work, and now look at him and what he's been able to do. It's unreal. So these stories are not about luck, they're about commitment, they're about really pushing yourself and going all in. There are risks and there are rewards, of course, with, burning the boats and getting rid of the safety net, and it can be scary as hell because there's no guarantee of success. The stakes are high. You've put everything in. But here's the thing, the rewards definitely outweigh the risks. Obviously there's a risk of financial instability, there's a fear of failure, there's increased pressure. But the reward on the flip side is that you have this now unmatched focus. You're betting on yourself. You have the satisfaction of knowing that you've given it all. And ultimately, I think, and I've said this numerous times, that it's the best bet you're ever going to make. So again, burning the boats, the mentality of it, forces growth. And growth only happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're uncertain, but you're fully committed. And so face your fears, leverage your potential, build that resilience. At the end of the day, like I say, fuck your plan B. Go all in. Because you're holding on to plan B still. It's time to let it go. Burn the boats, commit fully, and watch how your life and your business will transform. Because playing it safe doesn't lead to greatness, but bold moves do. And again, we're not talking about being reckless here. We're talking about refusing to settle, refusing to retreat, refusing to accept anything less than extraordinary. So burn the damn boats. Your future self will certainly thank you for it. I think about my career and walking away from very safe salary, making really good money, but being miserable and realizing that I can't do it half in, half out. I have to go all in. I tried for many years to build a business while on the side. But of course, my priority was always my main gig, the main thing that paid for everything in my life. And having that full-time job actually was an anchor. It held me back from the life that I wanted. Now I have gone all in. It's been multiple years. Has it been hard? Absolutely. It's been challenging. There's days where I'm very frustrated and angry. Some days I'm confused, like why things don't work out, but I would never change it. I think it's the only direction now for me. It's the only one that makes sense. The idea of trying to work for someone else honestly would make me so angry, and I don't want that. So I've burned the boats in my life. I've left everything behind. There's no retreat. There's no going back. All it is moving forward. It's hard. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs, but I'm here for it. Are you here for it? Let me know. If you want to talk through this conversation more, always happy to have a conversation. Again, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Chris Hanna Show. Hope you got some value. Hope you learned some things. Hope I got you thinking a little bit more about the idea of, fuck the plan B. Don't have a safety net. Burn the boats. Go all in. And ultimately, I think when you do, in time, you will win. All right, that's a wrap for today's dose of reality on the Chris Hanna Show. If you're fired up and ready to kick some serious ass, then I've done my job. But remember, knowledge without action is just wasted breath. So what are you going to do? Sit around and let opportunities pass you by? Or are you going to step up and take what's yours? The choice is yours, but don't expect sympathy if you choose the easy road. If you've got value from today's episode, smash that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs a wake-up call. Don't keep this gold to yourself unless you're afraid of a little competition. Stay bold, stay hungry, and remember, always go all in. Until next time, this is Chris Hanna signing off. Now go out there and take what's yours.